What's up, guys? So this training that we were doing is Teddy and I. We do team trainings every Friday, and I told Teddy, "Hey, let's go 10-minute rounds. Test me a little bit on the standing." So we're right here trying to battle out. He has a cross grip, so he basically controlling how my hands point at him. I cannot point my hands and push him away, and he got me off balance and get on top. One of the things that as well I learned from Teddy, or training with him and training with Jackson, that he's another head instructor of the school. And if you're a student, you already know who we are. But if you're not here in the school, is both of the black belts that we have here, and it's creating movement a little bit. Sometimes we stay flat on the ground sometimes, so you're gonna see me a lot being sideways and making sure that I don't stay as flat as possible. Of course, Teddy's trying to make the opposite, right? He's trying to bring me back flat to the ground. So making my shoulders flat, you see he controls my head, flats me out. Make sure that my movement is not there. The more sideways I am, it's easier for me to move. It's easier for me to get my knees back. It's easier for me to push him. It's easier for me to get my position back. So the focus that I'm doing now is basically just do little bumps, make sure that I'm pushing at the right not only space, but in the right time of pushing his shoulder, starting to slide away, trying to make sure that his hands doesn't connect, and from there trying to make sure that I'm sideways and not flat on the ground all the time. So try to get some angles, try to make sure that I use my knee to bump his hip, get him off balance, use my hands, so just keeping him off balance as much as I can. I got a little space here, making sure that I push his hip, he's staying heavy. And one of the things that I can see in the video, and this is pretty cool, is Teddy's very good moving away. And at that time, I caught him not moving or getting a good angle, and he just flew off a little bit. And it's rare occasion, but if he doesn't move, then it's easier for me to move. And then I was here extending my hand, and he caught my arm and then put his foot in the hip, and that made it very difficult for me to start to get his feet, because I don't want his feet pointing at me. And I extended my arm too far. Now, on this one, he got me off balance, and then he got a good hook and start to mess with my leg. In here, you guys gonna see, he's gonna catch me eventually with a knee bar, and he caught me because he's gonna eventually catch my ankle. And when I rotate, he already has a good extension of the leg right there. So I had that's a quick tap in, and only on his thigh right there, but I had to voice it out because he caught my ankle already in a good way, that the moment that I rotated, he was already extending. It was beautiful. Now, standing up again, I was aware a little bit of, okay, I need to make sure that his hand's not pointing at me, making sure that he has a hard time to grab me. He doesn't go and pull my arm off my center line, off my chest, or across my chest. So I'm trying to get an angle, try to make it difficult for him to hold my head, get a grip on my collar, things that basic stuff from judo that I'm studying a little bit. So I wanted him to test me out and make it harder for me or test me a little bit, see my knowledge on judo, no? Here, of course, his hands are pointing at me very good. He's trying to mess with my legs. He has good posture. I'm noticing that my head is a bit too forward, meanwhile he's upright, and that's helping him a lot, not wasting too much energy. Finally grab my collar there, and then pull guard, foot on the hip. My head, I feel that is too forward. Here, you see I brought it a bit more back with my hip. And then I start to bother his feet. Make sure that my knees and elbows are close together. Make sure that if I pass his feet, and then I'm going to his knees, making sure that his knee doesn't point at me. But first I have to address the feet. Make sure that the sole of the feet are not pointing at me. And then I'm going to make sure that his knee doesn't point at me. Now, his hands are the other thing that I need to mess up. But he's framing so well that it's hard for me to get close to him, because that's my next step. The moment that I pass those two, I need to make sure that I get close to him. Then from here, he changed the angle and brought his feet again, and then now he's taking my back. I hold his foot just to slow him down, but my back is about to get taken, right? So I'm just holding, just chilling, and holding there, just holding. And then I tried to run away, but he had my belt, and we're just laughing there. So I let him get too close too soon. I should have you see I off balance him a little bit to maybe get my feet back. But right now I'm too flat. And one of the things that that feedback wise that him and Jackson tell me, hey, you don't want to accept sometimes the position. It's better sometimes to fight a little bit, and especially when we're training with each other, just pushing each other's endurance and all that stuff. I try to pull his arm across so that way eventually I can just bother him. You see, he controlling very well, feet pass, knee pass, and then from here I'm trying to bother him and get him off balance. This one, very well off balance, like try to go one side and then guide into the other direction and got him off balance. And then from here, now I'm focusing on his hands. I want to make sure that I miss his hands a little bit so that way he can't push me. You guys are going to see that his hands bother me so much that he lift me and then get his knees back. So I'm trying to like move around a little bit, make sure that his hands are not well placed on my body, on my hip or my shoulder, but he got it there. Like I'm trying to fight it, try to fight the knees, make sure that they're not pointing at me, try to fight the hands, but he eventually caught it. And then it got me in the same position as before. So I tried to shove his foot down, try to shove the other foot, but caught me again there. And tried to fight it, hold his foot. And then here is something that I learned in this moment. I self-frame. You see my hand on my thigh? I'm self-framing on the ground so that way he doesn't flap my legs out. That way my feet and my knees are pointing at him at all costs. That helped me a lot in that moment. So I learned that in this occasion to self-frame. If I cannot push against him, at least I can push myself, especially on my legs. I can't let him pass my feet and my knees. So he's fighting for that, right? And I'm making sure that he doesn't do it. So I'm trying to hold on to him. One of the things that I learned from this row too is I need to off-balance him here. I can't not just hold him because it's going to be easy for him to pass. So I need to off-balance here. I need to move a little bit more. I need to mess with his legs. I need to mess with his posture, especially to the direction that he wants to pass, right? Like to push him more that way. So in this one, a little bit, I did that just to annoy, but he's doing a great job of holding me in the right places, like pushing the feet away, pointing the knees out. And then from here, we move just for the camera. But you can see how either in higher levels, even though that maybe you're a blue belt right now or a white belt watching this or a purple belt, we know the highest level. But even on the highest level in competition, you can see this pointing the feet and knees away everywhere. So it's not that rare, right? It's just something that is a battle that is very common. But the tools that we get to use, the flexibility, the endurance, and being stronger, it's things that start to add as a variable, right? So, but that battle is gonna happen. It's a basic battle, something that you need to learn. That I'm remembering every single time. There's some things in Jiu-Jitsu that doesn't change, so it's not that hard to remember to learn in a sense. When I say that is, you just need to remember the things that don't change, and sometimes we forget about those things. We forget because there's a long list, to put it that way. So right now I'm bumping a little bit, just trying to get to my side, try to get a good position to push, to get anything back, my knees or my hands in a good position to push him. I recover my knees back again and my feet. And Teddy does a great job of going back again to the important battle that is my knees, my feet and my knees. And then right here, we're like in a 50-50, but he had already my pants, so that way my knees point away from him. And you see he flaps me out again. He's trying to get now the mount. I'm making sure that I stay slightly sideways. Right now, I'm like, my shoulders are off the ground like slightly. And you see my leg there is not letting him get in full mount. I'm trying to get my elbow, of course. I'm bumping a little bit, like using my knee to slightly bump north. So that way I can get the other angle. He jump off. I get my feet back again. I try to hold him. You see he redirects my hands, my feet away. And then here I got a little bit of a distance to catch him again. A little bit of a half guard, but he cuts through. My feet are still pointing at him a little bit. He's going to go to a different angle. Make sure that he's not pointing at him. And here, I want to make sure that I want to fight a little bit more than just staying there. So the things that I'm learning, things that I wrote down in my mind to put in that way, to make sure that next time I'm more dynamic. If I know that he's getting close to me, I can still fight there. He's not close to me. So I need to fight when he's trying to get close to me, right? So that's a good battle to have. I have a good frame there. You see, like, going to the side a little bit, like going underneath. I'm just making sure that he doesn't close his hands and that he has a hard time to control my head, that he has a hard time to flat me out. And the roll ends. Awesome, guys. Hopefully you learned something here the same way that I learned.